This is the first part of a mini-series idea I had for the month of October. Each day, I will be talking about what could have happened if one of the villains managed to win instead of the heroes. At the end of the month, the parts will be compiled into one video, which will include the chapter titles in each part. Anyway, I'm going to do this in a slightly different way than what you'd probably expect. Instead of later threats that normally appear in the story still happening, I'm going to keep it as everything going in the villain's favor. So, for example, in the case of Emperor Pilaf winning, I'm not going to include Raditz' arrival. I just wanted to make these stories focus on the villain and how the world would be affected by their victory alone. Though, for this part, since there were some minor villains in the Emperor Pilaf saga besides Pilaf himself, I'm going to briefly talk about what if they won as well. While the major focus of this video is about Emperor Pilaf, I'm going to start with the minor villains first. With some of these scenarios, they won't always be the most accurate, since it would be a stretch for some villains to win. I knew it would be like that when writing these, so I just didn't worry about what's likely or not for some of the villains. For example, one of the villains I knew that it would be a stretch for them to win was Oolong, so I just wrote these scenarios that were a stretch for fun, instead of worrying about accuracy. For the first minor villain, I'm starting with Oolong since it is the villain Goku meets first. In terms of strength, Oolong doesn't have a chance to beat Goku, so his winning would be based on a different timeline where Grandma Palsu's grandmother didn't find the Dragon Ball, so it is still in the woods somewhere. Since it would still be in the woods, Goku and Bulma would never go to Aru Village. Without anyone there to stop him, he would take Pokawatha as his bride. If, for some reason, he didn't like her as a bride or he gets tired of her, he'd likely continue to terrorize Aru Village and kidnap more girls. If he ever got bored of the girls in Aru Village, or exhausted his options there, he might decide to terrorize other villages instead. Also, since Goku wasn't there to attack Oolong, they would have never had the idea to try and attack him back, so they would never realize that he is weak. Anyway, he would keep terrorizing different villages until he finally finds a bride he likes. Also, since he was never stopped, the myth about him being a demon would continue to spread, since he would still use his demon form. Another thing to mention is that in the manga he said he extorted money from people, though we don't know exactly how he did this, but if he ever runs low on money, he'll likely continue extorting people for more money. To begin this timeline, it would start during Goku's fight against Yamcha while they were in Diablo Desert. The easiest way for Yamcha to win would be if Bulma didn't wake up during this fight. Normally, Yamcha was about to go in for the kill when Bulma woke up, so she didn't wake up. Their fight would continue. Goku was tired at the time, since he was hungry, so his strength dropped. When he uses the Wolf Fang Fist on Goku this time, it would succeed in killing Goku. With Goku now killed, he would proceed to rob Oolong of his capsules, though with him still being angered, he would likely use his sword to kill Oolong shortly afterwards. Since he doesn't know about Bulma being there, he would return to his hideout, though when Bulma eventually wakes up, she would find the corpses of both Goku and Oolong. This will likely scare her enough into giving up on her quest, especially since her protector is now gone. So, instead of continuing to Mount Frypan, she would likely try to go back home. Since she lost her capsules in the river, I don't see her making it out of the desert before she succumbs to dehydration. Back with Yamcha, as he revealed in the manga, he had no desire to rule the world, so after he managed to defeat Goku, he would just continue his days of robbing people that make their way through the desert. Of course, Poir would still help him too. The two would likely live out in the desert by themselves for a while, and since they continued to rob people of their money in capsules, they would be able to live comfortably. However, in the manga, Yamcha also mentioned that his dream was to get married. It all depends on if he gets over his fear of women or not eventually, but as we've seen in the manga, he is able to do so. In the case he does get over this fear, he'll likely settle down with someone like himself. The best option I see him getting with is Launch, since she is also a robber. They met when he went on a supply run to the city one day, and he bumped into her while she was escaping from robbing a bank. Of course, when he first meets her, he would be afraid of her. From there, and over time, things could develop into them committing crimes together. His fear of women would slowly subside, which leads to them developing a relationship together. He would likely remain in the desert, but he would likely make a larger and nicer lair now that he is with Launch. Regardless, he, Launch, and Poir would remain there for the rest of their lives, but then continuing to rob people in the desert. Though when they make supply runs to cities, they might rob banks together like Launch did. We open on Goku, Bulma, and Oolong going into Fungus Town, though Yamcha and Poir are still following them. As usual, Bulma was wearing the bunny outfit, so the people of the town feared her. However, after she gets new clothes, everyone doesn't even bat an eye at her. Anyway, when the rabbit mob comes to the town and tries to hit on her, she has Goku beat them up, which he does easily. Of course, they still call on their boss for help, so Monster Carrot then arrives. It's hard for Monster Carrot to win against Goku, but the easiest way would have been if he asked Goku to shake his hand instead of Bulma. He would be foolish enough to fall for it, so he would be the one that was turned into a carrot first. After that, Oolong would likely still flee, while Bulma would try and slap Monster Carrot, which unfortunately turns her into a carrot too. As mentioned mentioned earlier, Yamcha and Puar are watching this go down, so Yamcha intervenes, and he takes down the 2 soldiers so they got back up. But since he doesn't have a way to counter Monster Carrot's magic, he is turned into a carrot as well. Even Puar would be turned into a carrot after he tried to avenge Yamcha by shapeshifting into a wolf and attacking Monster Rabbit. With Goku, Yamcha, Puar, and Bulma turned into carrots, Monster Carrot would eat the 4 carrots. Since Oolong fled and there was no one left to stop the rabbit mob, they would continue to terrorize Fungus Town. Anytime they wanted anything, they would keep coming to the town and just take it, since no one could stand up to them, so they would continue to be feared by anyone that lives inside of the town. While Goku, Bulma, Yamcha, Puar, and Oolong were trapped inside Pilaf's castle, he was outside summoning Shenron. Though as usual, Goku blasts a small hole in the wall with his Kamehameha. This allows for Puar and Oolong to turn into bats to fly out of the hole. Normally, they would reach Pilaf, and Oolong would cut him off to wish for panties. So, since Pilaf already was close to getting his wish, the easiest way for him to achieve it is just by Oolong reaching him a couple seconds too late, so Pilaf manages to state his wish. Of course, his wish was to be the ruler of the earth, so there's a couple ways I could see this wish going. However, I see it going in the way that he would take King Furry's place as the King of Earth. So, after Shenron finishes making the wish, he is teleported to the King's castle. For this wish to work, Shenron would have made everyone on Earth loyal to Pilaf, so that they accepted him as their new king. Regardless, when he arrives, King Furry's mind was affected as well. He accepts Emperor Pilaf as the new ruler and passes on the crown to him. Now, as for what Pilaf would do as king, he would likely kick off his reign with a large and lavish coronation ceremony. From there, the most likely thing he would do is have people make him a better castle than his current one, since this is quite small compared to his old one. This would be easy for them to accomplish, especially now that he has the world's money at his disposal. Also, he only wants to be recognized as being powerful, so besides having to talk about Emperor Pilaf being great, life for everyone wouldn't change much. Other than that, he wouldn't really have any other laws he makes. Anyway, he would also have the Earth's military under his control, but since things like the Red Ribbon Army are now loyal to him as well, he would merge the military in the Red Ribbon Army. Unless he tries to make the monarchy hereditary, no other rules are put into place under his reign. If he did have children or living family members, he probably sets it up so that the monarchy becomes hereditary. If he didn't have a family of his own, he could also choose to pass it on to either Mai or Shu, or one of their descendants, since they were loyal to him. Though, I think since he is king, he would eventually find himself a bride and have descendants of his own. Something to mention is that since the wish affected everyone on Earth, Goku and the heroes would believe he's the rightful ruler of Earth as well. Since Pilaf is no longer there to get in their way, Oolong and Puar would be able to open the door, locking them in there. Also, the wish might have affected their memory of what happened, since it would look bad on Pilaf if there was a group out there saying the current king imprisoned them and left them to die. Since no other threat comes to Earth, the world is in a time of peace for the rest of Pilaf's life. Though some of Goku's adventures likely stay the same, minus King Piccolo and Piccolo Jr., since they wouldn't come around, since Pilaf would never have a reason to release King Piccolo. Without Piccolo being around, the 23rd tournament is likely just a rematch between Tien, Shinhan, and Goku. Since the King of Earth isn't that involved in the story, nothing that major happens after Pilaf takes power. So, after the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament, the heroes live out the rest of their lives peacefully, as no other threats come to Earth.